Welcome to Honest Whispers Preview for Sale. On this video, I'll be previewing Transformers G1 Commemorative Decepticon Piranacon. This is the limited edition Seacons that was exclusive to Big Bad Toy Stores. Piranacon is approximately 9 inches tall. And he comes complete with all 6 Seacons: Snap Trap, Overbite, Sea Wing, Nautilator, Scalar, and Tentakill. I'm going to go over 6 different categories to preview this. First category is design. It covers the look, the concept, and points of articulations. And as you can see, the look is pretty much very nice look. It is based on the design that was done over 30 years ago. Still, it looks pretty close to what it does in the animation with some more details, and in certain areas less details. Now, like all combiners, this is basically what it is: a combiner, 6 or 5 individual robots that transforms into one big giant robot. So as you can see, it looks pretty good overall. Now, it is a bit unproportioned, like some combiners that was made for the Transformers line. And one of the biggest unproportioned area would probably be the size of the head and the size of the torso, basically, or the body. Because this is basically like 2 heads. So it looks like, if I could get it off the reflection, it looks like he has a very short, long legs or a short body. Now his hands come up to his thighs, so everything else is pretty much proportioned. Otherwise, it's not that much of a difference. Now, the overbite being the gun and how it hangs down so low, it does make it kind of like he has one really long arm in certain areas. So can look better without Piranacon holding overbite. As far as points of articulations, there really isn't much. Like all combiners, or most combiners, as the combiner, there's only like 5 points of articulations, and one being the head, you really can't turn much, usually just slightly to the side. The arms, they're able to move up, and then the wrists, you're able to turn them. Otherwise, most combiners, the legs you can't really move, or knees. So again, this is based on a design that is outdated now and over 30 years ago, but for what it is, it still looks great and definitely an eye catcher for anyone's collection. That's why I give the design score a solid 7 out of 10. Next category is sculpting. Covers the details, quality of the sculpt, and molding. And from what I read about, this is the same mold that they used on the original, and that's why when you compare it side to side, you'll get certain areas that's not as sharp. For instance, certain areas right here, like on the chest, it's as is when you're looking at it by itself, looks great. Everything, all the lines are consistent and sharp. A lot of details. You could even go here on scalar scales. the fins, the lines on the fins, very consistent. Even here for overbite, like his teeth and face. So overall, great details. And you don't see much, or at least when I was looking at it closely, trying to examine the quality, you don't see too many flaws on the sculpting. I mean, you could see seam lines here and there. But still quite hard to notice. Then you get certain areas, let's see where it was. There was some molding issue. Hard to tell if there are any molding issues. It was quite consistent, and you could see they molded a lot of the little pieces separately. So you might have, like right there on his shoulder, like that seam line. Looks kind of sanded down and everything. Right there, it looks like it's been scraped. It's probably where the seam line is as well. The edge right there looks a bit rough. And when you compare it to the other arm, it looks quite smooth. And it's very minor, because if I start backing out, it's harder and harder to tell. And that's why I give the sculpting score a near perfect 9 out of 10. Next category is colors. Covers the accuracy of the coloring, quality of the color or paint, and quality of the paint or color applications. And the reason why I keep saying color application is because most of the coloring here is done by decals or stickers. The base color, as you can see, is the actual plastic color. So they molded these pieces with color plastic. Now, when I did some research in comparison with the original, there are some slight color differences here and there. Maybe the tone of the color, or one certain body part piece might be colored differently. But it's still quite accurate overall. Now, there are certain areas that's been painted, usually like the eyes. Most of it is painted pretty well. And even the chrome part, which is very shiny and makes everything kind of, especially the chrome part pieces, stand out. So that's a nice touch, especially comparing to other Transformers. It kind of reminds me of how the Dinobots always had something like that, where a certain part was either a translucent or chrome. Now, here you have Overbite's eye painted. Nice sharp lines. And then when you look at his other eye, you can see the line, the angles, the points. Just isn't as clean. So small minor issue, but when you start looking from afar, and it's not like you could really see the eyes, both eyes at the same time. So small minor issues. Now with the decals or the stickers, most of them are on pretty symmetrically and accurately. Now if I start looking up really closely, there's certain stickers that might look a little bit crooked, where you can see how the border isn't as symmetrical. So one side of the border of that logo is thicker or thinner. You can see that this sticker right here on his left knee is slightly crooked in comparison to the right knee. especially where you look at the sticker and the location of that indented or sculpted rectangle underneath. You can see how it's close to it, pretty much in the same angle. This one slightly separated and not parallel to that triangle or rectangle. Certain areas here, like the chest, it's symmetrical, but when you look at it closely, you can see that one sticker, it's touching the inside part, while this one is touching the outside part. So rather than right in the middle or both at the inner part, they're both kind of on the, I guess, Piranacon's point of view, the left side, or to our right side. So it's something you have to look closely at. Otherwise, really can't tell. Most of the stickers are put on quite accurately and symmetrically. So that's why I give the color score a very solid 8 out of 10. Next category is packaging. Covers the design, functionality. And when you look at the design, or actually the look of it, the look itself is amazing. I would give it a perfect 10 as is, just the way it looks, which is why it has that displayable packaging with a lot of nice art, as you can see. Piranacon here, but it's cut out, so you still have some transparent area as well for the side. The other side, as shown before, has the list of all the individual Seacons in both their, I guess, the Seacon mode and the robot mode. Back, pretty much same thing, and how they combine into Piranacon with some stats of Piranacon as well, and little info on his bio, just in case you want to pause and read that. So packaging, the way it looks is amazing. Now, as far as functionality, the plastic part is kind of fragile, so if you dent it or bend it a little bit, it's gonna create a crease mark, so kind of hard to take care of. And then of course the surface can easily get scuffed or scratched. For instance, this right here on the package, you can see that scratch. And the way it's shaped, it's not a perfect rectangle, so it just kind of has this a bit of an oblong shape where it's like a hourglass, especially from the front. And from the side, you can see how the cardboard, so you can lay it flat, but good chance you know, you don't want to stack this unless it's pretty much the same box, same item. And once you open this, it's pretty much impossible to put it back in. Everything's tied down. You even have this plastic part. It's kind of protecting the outer part of overbite. So to retie it, and most of them is just kind of like a tie where you could just re-twist it at the end. But there's certain areas, like if you're familiar with G.I. Joe, it's like a rubber band. So good chance when you take this out, you're gonna stretch out the rubber band or it's gonna rip. And it's just not gonna fit back the way it would as a brand new box. So once you take it out, pretty much impossible to take it back in. And just the way you open the box, how the tape, the factory seal tape is right there. So once that's cut and opened, you take the lid off. It's not gonna have that sturdiness to it, so you might have to re-tape it as well. So hard to take care of, but very nice to display it in. And that's why I give the packaging score a very solid 8 out of 10. Next category is value. Covers the suggested retail price versus the quality and suggested retail price versus the aftermarket price. And this, when it first came out around 2009, 2010, so almost 10 years ago, released by Hasbro, and again, as a Big Bad Toy Store exclusive, so only Big Bad Toy Store sold this Piranacon. And when it first released, it was retailed at around 125, 120, 120, I think. And after about a year or so, a year to 2 years, they put it on sale, and it was around like $95 to $100, which is when I bought it and pretty much kept it in storage in a cardboard box. Listed it for sale and just recently sold it for $160 plus tax and shipping. The total came out to be $181.53. So the value after 10 years, almost 100% in aftermarket value, is very good. Like most Transformers that's based on the G1 designs tend to go up in price and value. So I could see this continue to go up in value, especially since there's less and less unopened ones. Once you open it, I say a good 40%. You might be lucky to get around like 100, little over 100, like 130, 120. But as a new one, I'm still seeing a lot of them in the average of 170 range. That's without shipping. So definitely value is there. As far as quality, I mean, most of the quality is based on the aftermarket. So, you know, this isn't a $180 robot, that's for sure. But then still, as far as the quality of the toy itself, it's still up there. It's definitely over $100 for sure. That's kind of what it retailed at. So you're still kind of getting your money's worth, especially if you're a fan. And that's why with the aftermarket potential, I give the value score a very solid 8 out of 10. Final category is overall. It accumulates the 5 prior categories: design, sculpting, colors, packaging, and value. And everything about this, especially for a G1 Transformers fan, definitely nice. I originally wanted to keep this and have a collection of combiners. So especially the combiners that I liked, and just have them all displayed lined up, which would have been cool. But unfortunately, it does take up a lot of space, shelf space as well, and it's really hard to collect all the combiners. It looks amazing. I like the colors, especially with the Seacons. Always liked it when it first came out. Just has that cool, I mean, with the neon colors, pretty much, it just has that cool look to it. And even individually, when you look at like C-Wing here, like it's pretty cool. Just the way he's just black and I guess blue-green would be, you know, like turquoise and gray. So his color combination alone is pretty cool too. So definitely unique as far as the way the colors and the look goes, since most Transformers in the G1 is based off vehicles and don't have neon like colors. And again, the packaging is great to just have it displayed on. One thing I forgot to mention is that you even have this Decepticon symbol that's indented, it's raised. So very nice touch to the packaging. Looks great, has all the information, and great potential on the aftermarket value. And that's why I give the overall score an 8 out of 10. So to recap, design 7 out of 10. Sculpting, 9 out of 10. Colors, 8 out of 10. Packaging, 8 out of 10. Value, 8 out of 10. And overall, 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Until next time. Continue reading the King James Version Bible and eat your vitamin C's daily.